Hello everyone, and welcome to session 2, I suppose, of these pre-Easter pre-recorded sessions. Hope everyone found last week's synaptic transmission useful, if you did engage with it. This week's will be a little bit different, so this week's will be on math skills, and in that regard I'm going to try and make it a little bit easy to access, so if all goes well you'll be watching this on YouTube on a playlist. If not, it'll be a Teams meeting and you'll know that my handle of technology has failed me. But let's jump into the content today, because I'm going to break this up into smaller segments to make it a little easier to manage. So we're going to go through several different elements from the mathematical content on the AQA syllabus today. So this is all synoptics. This isn't on the advanced information. This is something that can come up on any question, on any section, any paper. It's not something you can really prepare for. And if you don't know, you should bear in mind you can be asked research methods and maths questions on any part of the paper. It doesn't have to be research methods. You can be asked it anywhere across the 3 papers across the exam. And 10% of your marks up to will come from mathematical content as well. So this is stuff you do really need to know. But let's jump in, shall we? I can find my slides. There we go. So you should be able to see my slides now. And indeed, I think you can. Right. So we're going to start with standard form decimal notation. And standard form, you need to know how to convert and recognize decimal standard form and convert from one to the other. Standard form is something that you may have come across at GCSE maths, but it's something slightly different here, and I'll come back to that. So really it's just standard numbers that we use. It's not what you may have learned, but 3.6 times 10 to the 3 or whatever. And if that makes no sense to you, please completely ignore it. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about just normal numbers. And you need to be able to convert from that to decimal. So if you've got 4 out of 16 participants showing an improvement of memory after consuming caffeine, that's in standard form. Likewise, if you have 94 students sit in an exam and 12 achieve A stars, you say 12 out of 94 is in standard form. It's just in numerical form, that the way we talk to people when we're having a conversation about this kind of thing, because we don't talk in decimal. But you need to be able to convert this into decimal, and that may include manipulating values from a table. So we'll go through an example of that now. I don't want to hop too far ahead of my slides. So what I'll do is, I think it worked quite successfully last week with synaptic transmission, is I'm going to go through this with my fancy graphics tablet. Not that fancy actually, so if I share screen, but I want another window this time. We want this. There we go. Lovely stuff. Let's see that my pen is working nicely. I think it is. It is indeed. Okay, so let's do this with a table. Let's say we've got some different conditions here. It doesn't matter what they are. So let's say we've got 6 conditions, or 5 actually. 5 is a nice sort of round number. We've got a total, and we're just asking, this could be people's hair colour, eye colour, favourite colour, favourite flavour crisp, your favourite potato product, what manufactured car you drive, anything. So it doesn't really matter. And this is just how many of each. Okay, so let's say we've got, let's have 20 overall, make it nice and simple, and we're going to have 2, 6, 4, what's that? That is 12, and then we need, let's say 4, and another 4. There we go. Let's say 2 people are in condition A, 6 people are in condition B, and then 4 each in C, D, and E. So this was in standard form. You would just say, for condition C, we would just say, let's go purple. Purple's a good colour. We just say 4 out of 20. If you just asked to describe how many participants in a condition liked, let's say, because we're in purple, let's say this is prawn cocktail flavoured crisps, you just say 4 out of 20. But what if you need to convert this into decimal? What if it says what proportion as a decimal, like prawn cocktail flavoured crisps? Well, then you need to know how to convert this from this form into, well, it's less than 1, so 0 point something. You need to convert it to that form, and it is very, very simple. You don't need to overthink this. You just take the value that you want to express as a decimal and divide it by the total. So we just do 4 divided by 20. And you can have a calculator in the exam, so you just do that calculation. And we know that 4 out of 20 is 1/5 of 20, so it's 0.20. And it's that simple. Again, with 6, if you were asked, let's say this is salt and vinegar crisps and you wanted to do that, you do 6 divided by, I don't like salt and vinegar crisps, so they're awful. 6 divided by 20. Well, you know that 2 is 10%, so 0.1. So you just do 0.3. Multiply that by 3, and that's 0.3. So you're converting from this form into a decimal. So you're expressing 4 out of 20 as a decimal. That's 0.2, and this will come in handy for one of the later sessions when we look at fractions, percentages, and ratios. You might need to be able to go back the other way. So let's do that. Let me whip out my eraser. Let me make it bigger. So, I mean, this isn't a maths exam, it's a psychology exam, and they'll know that nobody likes maths. So really, you're not going to be asked anything more complicated than that. Maybe you might be asked a number like, 8 out of 24, or 3 out of 12, or 4 out of 16. You'll probably find something you'll get something that's like a nice fraction, so it's not too difficult to convert, but you can use your calculator anyway. So if you had 8 people like prawn cocktail crisps out of 24, you just do 8 divided by 24, which you might know is 1/3. I'm getting ahead of myself as we'll come back to fractions, but it's just 0.3, okay, 0.33. 4 out of 16, we know that, well, you just pop that into your calculator. 4 divided by, it's not a very good divide sign, 4 divided by 16, and you'll find that's 0.25. Okay, and that is what you do. You just take the value of the condition, the smaller number, and you just divide it by the total. So you just take the small number and divide it by the total. That is your answer as a decimal. But now let's go back the other way. What if we have a decimal and we want to turn it into standard form? Well, let's say we get told that, I'll start with a simple one, 100 students have completed a test. So 100 students sat an A-level exam. That'll be you very soon. Sat an A-level exam. And this, you want to highlight this. I would urge you to highlight this because this is your total. That's your total number of students. And you want to know, go back to my example that was on the slide, how many of them got A stars. And it might tell you 0.36 got A stars. And you want to know the number of students that got an A star. Well, in this case, it's easy. Because 0.36 out of 100 is 36, and that is the clue. So we're doing something to our 0.36 to get it as something out of the total. So we've got our, if we were looking at this in the reverse. So remember the first time I showed you just now I said it was the small number times by the total, sorry, the small number divided by the total gives you your answer. Well, this time we've got our answer. We've got our 0.36. We want to multiply it by something to get the small number. And I'm sure you can guess that we're just rearranging this, so we just pop in our total into here. So if you want to go from standard form to decimal, it's just the individual condition, the smaller number, times divided by your total gives you your decimal. We want to go from decimal to standard form, we just reverse it. So we do your decimal multiplied by your total gives you the smaller number that we wanted. And in this case, if we fill this in, if we multiply by 100, we see we get 36. So 100 students sat an A-level exam, 0.36 of them as a fraction, or sorry, as a decimal, got A stars. We just multiply that by the total number of students. We get 36. So this is the form, the way you convert from decimal to standard form and standard form back to decimal. We'll do one more. It's not any more complicated than this. I said you're not sitting a maths exam. You're not going to get anything too straining. So let's say 48 footballers scored a goal. Terrible analogy, but there we go. And 6 of them got a hat trick. 6 of them got a hat trick. So we want to know what this is as a decimal. So remember what I said, we do 6, we do our small number divided by the bigger number, 6 divided by 48, and that gives us our decimal. So 6 out of 48 is 1/8, which is 0.125. There you go. I had no idea what the answer was going to be when I plucked those numbers out there, but luckily we've got what I can do in my head. But you'd use your calculator for that. So you do small number divided by your total, that gives you your decimal. What about the reverse? Let's say we've got, let's go 80 footballers, and we know that 0.4 of them got a hat trick. Well, this time I said we just swap in the formula around. So we're doing the decimal times by the total number equals the small number. So our decimal is 0.4. Our total is 80. 0.4 times 80 is 32. Okay. So you should get this idea. It's not no more complicated than this. You're not going to be asked to do anything other than that. So I think, all being well, hopefully that made a kind of sense. We will leave it there, and we'll pick it up on the other side in part 2. And let me check what part 2 is. I mean, you can see from the title anyway, but we're going to do ratios, fractions, and percentages. So we'll pick it up there. Hopefully you've enjoyed this enough to carry on. So I'll see you on part 2. Thank you.